It's match preview, West Ham United against Aston Villa. Match day 38. We're finally here. A nothing game for West Ham, but a massive game for Aston Villa. 3 teams in the bottom. 2 are going down. 1 is straight up, and it's in Aston Villa's hands. Charlie, before we get onto the relegation battle in particular, what's your thoughts on Aston Villa, please?
I think they're a team who have they've got a couple of decent players here and there, but I don't see like a cohesive whole of a team who are going to be safe in the Premier League every season. They're notably missing like an out-and-out banging striker, which is something like they just don't have a guy who's going to consistently get goals for them. And I think that's probably one of the bigger reasons why I think, A, they'll be in the relegation zone this year. And even if they do escape it, unless they rectify that, I think they'll do it again. But they do have a couple of star players who, if they sold them, they would make a lot of money. And if they kept them and added a couple of bit more, then there's the basis of something there where they could be a comfortable Premier League team. Not a top 8 challenge or anything, but like a Southampton or whatever you want to put it, yeah.
Yeah, I think they've got I think they've got half a good team, and the other half is championship quality, to be honest with you. I think there's a few teams like that in the Premier League, though. But the difference is you come down to your manager, and I think a better manager, Aston Villa, would have probably kept them up, to be honest with you. I don't believe that their squad is that much weaker than that of Crystal Palace, in all honesty, or even Newcastle. I don't think there's too much between the two squads, so you've got to then look at the dugout a little bit, and they've stuck by him, which I think is fair considering he got them up and stuff. But on the other hand, he did spend 100 million last summer, and I would suggest that the results haven't really sort of supported that spending. Do you think before we get on to that, actually, this preview is sponsored by the One Football app. They've got a new look. Everything's new look about it. Villa might have a new look next season. They might have championship patches on their arm. We're getting into that. But check out the One Football app. Link is in the description below. It's completely free. An hour before the kickoff on Sunday, you'll get a notification come through with the team lineups for the final game. So get it downloaded, completely free. Links in the description. But Charlie, should they have stuck with Dean Smith like they have for the season, or do you think they should maybe have gambled, if you like, twisted?
I would have stuck with him because he knows the players. He's, like you say, he got them up. And I think although twisting would have been tempting because you get that sort of new manager bounce and stuff, when you have a guy who's got as much out of Grealish as he has, among some other players in that squad as well, I think that's your best chance for staying up, because it's not like they've been abjectly awful either throughout the season. It's not like a Norwich situation, for example, where they've just not, like, since that beginning spurt, they've not hit the ground at all. There's been times where they've actually looked pretty decent, so in that case, I would have stuck with him despite the fact that new manager balance would have been the argument of, let's say they go on a 3-match winning streak or whatever, or 5 matches where they play really well and get 3 wins out of them or whatever. That would have got them out of safety quite easily. I think that's too much of a risk when you have a guy who has got the best out of this group of players before.
I think they've been a bit unlucky with injuries as well, though. Heaton got a season-defining injury. Wesley got it. I know that he wasn't perhaps firing as much as they expected and stuff, but it's still their main striker, hence why they went and got Samata in. McGinn was obviously injured as well, missed a large part of it. So they have had big injuries to big players, and I think sometimes, I'm not sure I think he struggles to get Grealish. Don't want to say you stop Grealish, you stop Villa, but a lot of teams approach Villa with that mentality, because he's the most foul player in the Premier League for a reason. I know he likes to go down easily and stuff, but when I do watch them, he does get kicked about constantly, and it's very difficult. How do you then get that player performing? Because he is their game changer. But how can you get him performing with other teams constantly focuses on that one player? It's not like when you're playing. To be honest with you, I'm going to say West Ham, despite the fact they were a bit rubbish at the minute. If you concentrate on Bowen, there's every chance there's someone else in our team is going to pop up and do something if you're focusing on him. But with Villa, you focus on Grealish. There's not really anyone else that grabs the game by the scruff of the neck. They've got a few players in there who have their days, but they're not very consistent enough. Trezeguet, El Ghazi, decent player. We'll get on to the players. But do you think they will stay up? Just for the viewers, this is the scenario. If Villa or Watford get a point, Bournemouth are gone. Bournemouth need Villa and Watford to lose, and they have to win as well in order to save. So it's a big task for Bournemouth. Villa simply have to match the result of Watford and assume that Bournemouth don't win. So, but if Watford do win, Villa have to win. A point's not enough for Villa if Watford are winning on match day 38. So it's going to be a bit exciting, actually. being a West Ham fan, there's no pressure on us. It's going to be a bit exciting with the relegation battle going on. Do you think they're going to stay up?
Yes, mainly because I think it's a weird one because I'm not sure what Watford are going to turn up for that game. I think have they got Arsenal? Am I right about that?
Yes, they're away to Arsenal and Bournemouth are away to Everton.
I can't tell what Watford are going. I think Bournemouth are done for. I think Bournemouth are gone, unfortunately for them. Watford, I just can't figure out what we're going to see. Mainly because I don't even know who's going to be in charge of the game, let alone what's going to happen there. But like, I just can't figure out if they're going to be good, if they're going to be bad. Like, Troy Deeney will probably inspire them to be better than they should be. But at the same time, if Arsenal are bad, like I don't know what Arsenal are going to rock up. If Arsenal are bad, then Watford have the chance. But then at the same time, if Arsenal play even remotely good, then they could whap them. So I just think Villa. I think the best chance of getting points is against us out of those three. And I think. Yeah, I think Villa are going to do it. I think Villa stay up and Watford go down.
Sorry, Charlie, I'm not sure. I think Bournemouth are going to win away to Everton. Everton have been dreadful recently. I know they've won against Sheffield United, but I don't care. I watched that game and Sheffield United just weren't at the races. Everton had half a chance and it was a fantastic header by Richarlison to win the game. I think Bournemouth have been looking good in the last few games and they've been a bit unlucky with... there has been handballs and stuff, and Wilson was offside. The correct decisions were made, but they were just unlucky. Another day, Wilson stays onside and the goal counts. And I just think out of the three of the teams, I think Bournemouth are the ones looking most impressive at the minute. So I think they're going to win. And I don't think Watford are going to. I think Watford are going to go. And that leaves Villa needing to get a point against us to stay up. And it's going to be interesting to see how they cope, because if they are drawing against us and they hear that Bournemouth are leading, suddenly a point is enough and you can't really risk going for the win. But if Watford are winning, they have to go and get the win. I think it's going to be... I think it sets up for a very exciting game. I'm really looking forward to this because there's three teams in there, so you're going to be keeping an eye out for the two other results. And it's going to be interesting to see how Smith reacts to it on the bench as well, because one bit of news from another ground, he's going to have to change something. Whether it's going more defensive or more offensive or whatever, how do you pick your team? It's Moyes is relaxed for this one, but I would not want to be a manager picking your team for match day 38 when it's in your hands. But if another team starts winning, you need to go on and win as well. Crikey, not good. Players you admire from Aston Villa, please.
I want to give a shout out, although I don't think he's the player he once was. I just like Pepe Reina. I just like seeing him. He's just this part in the back of my head that just gets hyped because it's Pepe Reina, and I don't know why. Like, because
he's bald and he has short sleeves.
It's just a bit weird, isn't it? It's just he's Pepe Reina, bruv. He's here, bopping about in a relegation battle. Flipping hell, Pepe Reina. It's like when Negredo signed for Middlesbrough, and I was like, why isn't Negredo? Hang on, what's going on? I'm just confused at the prospect of it existing. So I wanted to say that. John McGinn's the big one for me. I love John McGinn. I like, to be honest with you, I like him more than I like Grealish. That doesn't mean I think he's better than Grealish, but I really, really like John McGinn. If you said to me, you can have one player from Aston Villa, I would take him in a heartbeat. I think he is... I think he's getting more and more praise as the season goes on, to be fair. But if this match had happened 3 months ago, pre-lockdown, let's say, I think I would have said something along the lines of Grealish gets all the praise, but I think John McGinn is potentially just as good or just as important. I just think he's such a little baller, Geo. He just does a bit of everything, and it's like, I don't know. I just really like him. There's other people that you're going to mention that are quite obvious, like you say, Grealish. But John McGinn, boy, he's just a lad. Also, just Pepe Reina. Pepe Reina's here, Gio. Sorry, I get overexcited.
Grealish is the obvious one, though, isn't he? I think he's better than James Maddison. I think he's the better of the two. They're similar, but I do think Grealish is better. Although I do think he's been disappointing post-lockdown. Whenever I watch Villa, I think he loses his head. It's not for me to say. I'm only watching on the TV. I don't know if he loses his head or not. That's how it comes across to me. He gets kicked around a little bit, and then he sort of starts to get a bit angry and starts kicking people back. And I just think you've just lost what's you've got good for you. But the last couple of games against Arsenal in particular, I thought he really stepped up to the mark, and you saw a guy that should be worth 80 million strolling around the pitch against Arsenal. I thought, oh no, here we go, he's getting in form just before he plays us. But it's a lot of pressure on. He's still young as well. He's captain of the club, his boyhood club as well, and it's a big occasion for him on Sunday. The one player I've really liked post-lockdown for Villa, though, is Douglas Louise. He went there with a big reputation. Pep was pissed off to lose him. And at the start of the season, you can see it in glimpses as to why he has quality about him. You could also see why City let him go. Post-lockdown, I think he's just been incredible. I think he's been 9 out of 10 every game I watched him. Defensively, he's really improved. He's got a lot more discipline. On the ball, I think he's possibly the best on the ball in terms of a defensive midfielder in the Premier League, actually. I can't think of one off the top of my head who's better on the ball than him. There's better players defensively than him in that role, but with the ball, his passing, the range of his passing, his shooting from distance. Tell you something, Charlie, they get relegated and Declan Rice goes, that's who I want us to go get.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's who I want to replace Declan Rice. I'll say it now. That's who I want to get to replace Declan Rice if we have to. I just think he's superb. Trezeguet, I was intrigued when Trezeguet joined Villa last summer, and I expected big things of him. Had him in a fantasy league team. Don't know why I say that. I give up after fantasy league after about 2 weeks. But he was in originally because I expected big things, and he's been a bit disappointing. But he's another one that's coming to form a lot in the last 2 or 3 games. He's starting to step up, and I'm intrigued to see him in the Premier League next season if Villa stay up. I think he'll do well. West Ham time. So West Ham, back onto West Ham. Injury news. Bowen is, I don't know, it's difficult actually. We've got told Bowen was 50-50, but Moy seems to think he's all right. There's no news on Aaron Creswell. Nothing. Nobody's mentioned him, despite the fact he went off injured in our last game. So we don't really know if he's fit or not. We'll find out on Sunday. To be honest with you, I don't think anyone's that concerned if he's fit or not. I think that's why we don't know if he's fit or not, if that makes sense. No one's asking him. No one said, David Moyes, what about Aaron Creswell? Everyone just wants to know about Bowen. But apart from that, it's as you were, really. Fredericks is also unsure. But would you make any changes if they were Creswell and Bowen were past fit? Would you make any changes, or would you keep it as strong as possible?
Keep it strong as possible and give those players the sort of the spotlight to end the season. Because David Moyes has only used them, as we're all painfully aware with his substitutions, and I think they sort of deserve the sort of, it's not like a lap of honour by any stretch of the imagination, but the chance to go out there and really just be like, right, we've done this, let's do it again, sort of thing. I think fortunately with the Bowen thing, to be honest with you, as much as I want to see him, I'm not super worried about it, just because Yarmolenko exists. And it's something different. He's a different player from Bowen, but it's nice. He's like one of the only other players I would say is super in form right now to just go whoop, whoop, and like it's quite nice. So I'm not super worried about it. And then Cresswell and Masuaku, who cares? Do you know what I mean? So, but if everyone was past fit, I would probably stick with the same side just to give them the respect sort of thing, give them their dues.
If Bowen's 50-50, I wouldn't risk him. The new season is only 6 weeks away. It's not that long. And that's why I'll keep it as strong as possible, though, because if we can sign off with a win, if Antonio scores again, he's going to be chomping at the bit for the season to start in 6 weeks. He's going to be expecting to start up front. He's going to have his confidence in him still. And you can say that about a lot of the players, because the new season is not that far away. And I do think there's going to be a lot of form replicated from now into the start of next season, just through confidence and stuff. That's why if I was a Palace fan, I'd be a bit worried right now. 8 losses on the bounce. I would be dreading for the season starting in 6 weeks. Would you like to see sort of like, is there anyone in particular you'd like to see, even if they don't start, come on just for the game time or anything like that? Because this is a unique opportunity in the sense that we've not really got. We can drop down one place in the league, so there is a £2 million prize there, if you like. But is there anyone you're hoping gets a bit of game time?
For a second, I did think you were going to say, would you want to see any subs? And I was going to be like, yes, please, that would be nice. I would like to see, I think, Haller, Wilshere, the 2 biggest ones for me. I know I saw the rumours going around today that Wilshere's on the chop list, along with a bunch of other people. But I think, to be honest, I kind of think he would suit Moyes' style, playing as that 10 style player. And I sort of want, how do I word this? David Moyes only seems to be able to see what's directly in front of his face in the most obvious thing possible. So I'm like, put him on just so he can kind of prove that fact, please. Because although he's unbelievably injury prone, and to be honest with you, I don't think anyone's going to take him because he's so injury prone. I feel like getting him the game time and getting him the sort of opportunity. And again, a game like Villa, I think he'd thrive in that sort of atmosphere of final day. Everything's played, like everything's like to battle for them. I think he's a decent player to put in that position. So I'd like to see Wilshere. I'd like to see Haller, because I just think he's such a good footballer, and I think he should be the person we build our front line sort of around. I think Bowen fits perfectly into that mould and stuff like that. I don't think it should be Antonio, even though I think he's great and should start. I think he's great. Did I just say that out loud? I regret that. Ignore what I just said. And then, honestly, probably some youth players. I wouldn't mind seeing like Connor Coventry on the pitch just for a bit. If you take Declan Rice off to give him a rest towards the end, maybe get Connor Coventry on, something like that. Just again, it's like you say, it's a unique opportunity. It's not something that comes around every day where in such a competitive game for the opponents, you can sort of be quite calm and give people those opportunities to shine. And it could be a perfect opportunity for someone like Coventry to step in and show what he can do against a team who are really, really super up for it.
It could suit some of our players as well if Villa do have to attack us, because when the game starts, a point is enough for Villa. But a goal at Watford, if Watford take the lead against Arsenal, suddenly Villa need to win, and they're going to have to come at us a little bit more. Or you do perhaps wonder maybe Villa are going to come flying out of the traps and try and get the early goal, so Watford have to go at Arsenal and open themselves up there. But if it is getting end-to-end and stuff, I would like to see Lanzini on the pitch, to be honest with you. He's the one I'd like to see get a game. Alia as well. And Connor Coventry is the one player I too would like to see come out. We've got special permission to play him, so I think we'd be a missed opportunity. There's also players I don't want to see, and it's not because of who they are, but Ajeti and Anderson, if they are going in the summer, which we believe they are, don't risk them. There's no point trying. There's no point giving them 20 minutes when you'd have to question if they can even be arsed. They'd probably rather not come on the pitch as well if they're leaving in the summer. Why would you want to play a meaningless game if you're planning on leaving? Why would you want to risk an injury? This is why Jeremy Ngakia left, because he was getting £150. Do you want to say to them, well, why would he sign a contract and risk a serious injury? Why would Anderson want to risk a serious injury if he's off? So, but at the same time, why would Moyes want the guy he's maybe looking at trying to salvage 20 million? Why would you risk ruling out that transfer out of the club? Anyone that's potentially leaving, do not put them on. I wouldn't even have them on the bench, to be honest. Even if you only have 4 subs, sounds a bit mental. But it's almost like Moyes turn around to David Sullivan and say, well, this is my team. This is my squad for next season. Those players I haven't included, sell them, please, and let me build here, because this is all I've got. I know he'd have more than 4 subs, but you get the bad point I'm trying to make here, right?
Yeah.
Dyche has been doing it at Burnley. Burnley were safe. He was not using his bench properly, so you could say to the board, I need players, I need money. I think this is the one game David Moyes can actually make a similar stance to David Sullivan, because you've got 9 players on the bench, you only bring on 2. It's not you don't have players, it is you chose not to bring those players on.
What would you say about the idea of, like, because you mentioned Ajeti specifically, and he's sort of who I'm thinking of specifically in my head, less than Anderson, because I completely agree with what you're saying about Anderson. What about the idea of, like, this is his last chance saloon? Like, I don't think Moyes will bring him on because Moyes doesn't use substitutions.
It's not though, is it? What's he going to do? If he comes on and scores a hat-trick, is he going to be here next season? I struggle to believe that 20 minutes against Aston Villa is going to change. David Moyes is a very stubborn man. All managers are very stubborn. Yeah. So if he's already made up his mind, he's leaving. If he comes on and scores, it's going to go down as scoring in a meaningless game. The guy scored in the friendly, in the lockdown friendly against QPR.
True.
So clearly, scoring in meaningless games doesn't mean anything, which I understand. I'm not saying that's the bad thing, but I think Moyes has already made up his mind with the Jetty, and if he hasn't, then we should have seen him a lot more in the last handful of games. There's opportunities to bring him on 4-0 up away to Norwich. Could have brought him on with half an hour to go if we wanted to, but we didn't, because
he could have done a lot of things in that game he didn't do. But
anyway, this game I would say is more important for Aston Villa than West Ham. Bit of a Hamish chat joke there in case you haven't watched the last couple of previews. You're not really going to get it. Are you confident for this one, Charlie?
Sort of, yeah. I think Dean Smith, I don't know if he can afford to just go for a 0-0. I think he can afford to go for a 1-0, a 1-1 or a 2-2, but I don't think he can afford to go for a 0-0, because the worst thing you want is a situation in which you're sitting there trying to absorb everything, and then you can't come at, if you then have to go and get a goal, swishing that tide around is a very difficult thing to do. The momentum swing is quite difficult. So I do think he will actually step out and go for 1 at least. I'm not saying he's going to go for 2, 3, 4, 5 and have this killer instinct. Let's go with Aston Villa, baby. I don't think he's going to do that, but I do think he will at least go for that 1, just to give him that little bit of that safety net, because you don't want to hear, oh my God, they've turned around, and then have to scream at the players, score! Because that's going to be a horrendous situation for A, him to be in, and B, for the players to be in. And I do think, again, like you just mentioned, I do think that plays into our hands. I don't have any faith that we can break a team down who are just sitting there defensively, like Burnley, for example. But I do have faith that when a team steps to us, especially a team around us, as we saw against Watford, as we saw against Norwich, we can at least create some opportunities. Not a ton, not an abundance, not an incredible amount, but we can create some. And that plays into our hands, I think. So I'm confident. There's a growing confidence in me about West Ham United going into summer, and I don't fully understand it, but yeah, I am.
I'm very confident, Charlie. I just think this game suits us down to the ground. There's zero pressure on us whatsoever. All the pressure's on those Villa players, and I'd struggle to... Pepe Reina will be the one that's perfectly fine for this one. He's playing a Champions League final. He's all right with this one. He's not a Villa player at the end of the day either. He's there on loan. But there will be some of those Villa players who they're not going to sleep on Saturday night. They're just not going to... How do you prepare for this game as a footballer? I do not know. The pressure is immense. It will help not having fans in the ground for this one, for Villa. It will help them a little bit. Could you imagine just the noise and stuff building the atmosphere? It would be very heavy, way heavily on you as a footballer. So that will help. But I do think, though, with Villa, it'll be interesting if there's a goal in the Arsenal-Watford game very quickly, early on, because whatever goal it goes for, it's going to change things very quick for Villa. Because if Watford go 1-up, Villa have to win. So Villa, suddenly it's like, right, get going, we're going to have to keep going, be more open. But if Villa go a goal down, suddenly a point is all right for Villa. And you might just... And they'll have that goal cushion. So Watford equalise, that's still okay. Villa's a point is still enough. So I think if Arsenal take an early lead, I think we'll soon see Villa retreat very quickly and take no risks. I think they'll sit back. I think they'll keep their back four. I think they'll be instructing Louise and Horian to sit there and not move. McGinn to do his box-to-box and let Grealish, Trezeguet and Samata do the attacking, and that's it. No one else crossed that halfway line. It'll be interesting to see what he does at right back. I think that's a big position for Villa for this one, because I think El Hamandi went off injured in the last game. He seemed to have a hamstring injury and try and play through a hamstring injury, which is not something I've seen very often in professional football, and it was almost quite concerning to witness. But then his question is, what do? Do you move Konsa out there, which he has done quite a lot, and then play a centre-back there, and then you lose some in attacking? Or do you put Gilbert in there, who is attacking, but he's a bit of a loose cannon as well, and is probably going to get a yellow card just for starting the game. So it's interesting. I'm really looking forward to this one, Charlie, just because all the pressure's on them, and everything's going to change throughout. The one thing I've missed with this post-lockdown mini-season is because all the games are staggered, right? It's not very often teams around each other have been playing at the same time, so you're keeping an eye on other results. Like normally, Watford have been beaten, Bournemouth have drew, we play, then Villa play tomorrow kind of thing. So now we've finally got them all playing at the same time, and for the first time, we're going to be keeping an eye on results throughout the ground. And I'm looking forward to it as a neutral in regards to the relegation, but I'm really looking forward to it as a neutral, just seeing how Watford, Bournemouth and Aston Villa get on. And I'll tell you something, I could not care about Leicester v Man U and Chelsea and that battle going on for third and fourth in the Premier League. I do not care. It's all about which two teams are going down for me this Sunday. And I'm really looking forward to it, Mr. Walsh. But with all that in mind, Charlie.
Yes.
Can I have your final score prediction of the season, please?
It'd be rude not to go for a 2-2. I think it'd be rude not to go for a 2-2. I just feel like they are. Like I said, I do feel like they are going to try and go for one. I think they'll probably have their hand forced a little bit. I don't trust us super defensively to keep them at bay. I think, whereas I sort of gave the suggestion last chance saloon for Ayeti, it's definitely 100% last chance saloon for Villa and for a lot of those players at Premier League opportunity. Yeah, I'm going to go for 2-2. But I think it's going to be It's going to be an energetic one, an exciting one.
I'm not going to go for my famous 2-2, but before I give my prediction, just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who's tuned into our previews throughout the season. 39 league games, actually, because we did a preview for the Man City game, which got called off on the day, so we had to do 2 previews for that one. So this will be the only time we ever do 39
Did we do
league
one for the West Brom game as well? Was it West Brom? The one just before lockdown?
Cup game.
Just before lockdown?
Oh, the Wolves game.
Wolves, yeah, there we go. I think we did one for that as well.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? All right, so we've done 40 match previews this season for 38 games. We're spoiling you. And overload. And the various cup games. the 2 or 3 cup games that we had as well. But thank you for joining us for the previews. We really appreciate it. My final score prediction is a 2-1 West Ham win, which, to be fair, we've missed the point of goal difference, actually. If Watford are getting smashed, Villa can actually accept, as long as Bournemouth don't win, Villa can actually accept like a 2-1 loss because they'll stay up on goal difference then. Because the goal difference between the 3 teams are very, very tight. They're all on roughly minus 26 going into the weekend. Oh, I can't wait, Charlie. Anyway, drop a like on the video if you enjoyed this. Sky new around here. It's been Charlie, been Joe, we've been Hannah's Chat. And we'll see you on Sunday at 2:55. That's the one, Charlie. 2:55. We'll see you at 2:55 for the build up. Catch you in a bit.